Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the show. My name is Ruth the Truth, and I am hosting tonight for Eric Wilson for the Sports Arena. Thank you to all the viewers that are out there checking us out on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. Make sure to be keeping our comment section blowing up all night. You guys have any questions or you want to just have a debate with us, please feel free to comment in the sections. So tonight, on our first on the board, we have Jake Ronghalt from Turning Point Podcast, telling both sides of the story. So good to see you, Jake. Tell me how your week has been and what have you been up to?
It's been pretty interesting. I mean, aside from the NHL playoffs being at its all-time high, I mean, my Dallas Stars are in the 3 seed now after that big-time shootout against the St. Louis Blues, so that felt really good. And overall, it's just great to have live sports. We've been dealing with some storms here in Florida. We've lost power like 3 times here in the last 2 days. So.
Oh, my goodness. Yes, these storms have been taken off in Florida. But next on our hosting board, we have Alex Fleming from Turf Talk every Saturday mornings. How you doing, Alex?
Hard-boiled.
Hard-boiled? You got a lot to talk about today, right?
Let's get to it.
Let's get right to it. Let's kick off the show with college football and what's going on with the association getting together about even having a season. If it's going to happen in 2020, it's not looking likely. Jake, what is your perspective of how college football is going to end up?
Well, when Division II and Division III football said that they were done, including they were taking on all fall sports, that was including soccer, volleyball. I mean, it was only a matter of time before the Power Five was going to have this meeting and figure out what to do next. And then the MAC conference calls it also the fall season and says no to this as well. And so this is an issue right now happening with them. On the other side, I mean, I don't have a problem with this. I would love to have college football back, but honestly, I care about the health and safety of these players that are not getting any financial compensation except for some scholarship money. I mean, this is the reason why the pros are playing, and this is why college is not. Now, the Big Ten is also stepping up. That was from 3 different sources, including Dan Patrick, CBS Sports, Dennis Dodd, and Pat Forty. All 3 of those said the same thing. The Big Ten is not going to have a season, and it might not even be possible in the spring as well. But this has to happen. All right. I mean, I would like to see this, but we also look at the other side. The SEC has not said anything. The ACC has said nothing. So what it feels like is that they're going to try and have a season because they have Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence out there coming up with his own players union. So that could actually help. We've seen it in baseball. We've seen it in the NBA and the NHL. You might get the most screwed up aspect of college football happening within the SEC and the ACC. But right now, I'm just happy to see that the Big Ten is not doing this and the MAC is not doing this. And then the Pac-12 tomorrow is not going to.
Right. Alex Fleming, let me get your opinion on this. What do you feel about maybe having football in the spring?
I think that'd be the smart thing to do. I don't know why America seems to think that they're entitled to watch these athletes who aren't getting paid to entertain them on a Saturday, Monday, and Thursday night. And this is what kills me. So the orange one, Agent Orange, is all for NCAA players playing and entertaining America. Yet these same NCAA players graduate, if you will, and become NFL players, in which he called sons of bitches for standing up for their rights. When you make the Big Ten and their players sign a waiver to play NCAA football, you just basically said, we want you to play a sport where we make millions off your back, and we want you to sign a waiver so that way you can't sue us if you were to get sick. That's disgusting. MAC shouldn't be the one to lead the way, but the MAC was the one to lead the way. I want to say the Pac-12 was the first one with the dominoes to fall because there was a lot of UCLA Bruins who filed a lawsuit and said, hey, I don't think you have the players' interest in mind. And as far as the SEC and ACC, well, you know, there's nothing more American than some Southern football. You know that right now here. Now, you have Clemson, you have LSU, you have Alabama. I'm not going to mention Florida State because they've been garbage for quite some time. But you could technically have a national championship. What you would have is a national championship without any Oregon Ducks, without any Ohio State Buckeyes, without any Wolverines if they ever could beat the damn Buckeyes, And I'm not quite sure about the Big 12, who always usually has an Oklahoma or some fly in the radar. So why in the world Trevor Lawrence feels the need to say there's more risk of us catching it without playing football? It's like, that's like saying you and I are going to get into a car crash, but let's have multiple car crashes and I get to wear a seatbelt and you don't, and everything's going to be okay. I'm O negative, by the way. It's
Yeah,
just
and Alex, I'm glad you brought that up because what was happening in the Big Ten was even the commissioner, Kevin Warren, was saying that he was not confident that this was going to be a football season or even have fall sports. And then look at the other side with this. The athletic director for Ohio State, Gene Smith, made sure that he got the Ohio State football players to keep their mouths shut and say, including quarterback Justin Fields, that they feel like this is going to be a great thing for the Big Ten to have football back. And then suddenly Kevin Warren says, forget this. This is not worth our time to even go with this.
With these college athletes,
that crap.
With these college athletes starting to band together to make an association, do you think that will have any impact on whether or not football is coming back?
It's not a union. That's the biggest problem. These are all football players that have a legitimate chance to be in the NFL draft. First round picks guaranteed. Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Chuba Hubbard. These are all first round talents that know that they're going to get between the amounts of $6 million to $22.5 million in their first couple of years in the NFL. This has nothing to do with the ones that are trying to get into academics. These are not the ones that are believing that they don't have a football career after. This is only for the first round draft picks. That's the only reason they want this, because they feel like they get some more game film that brings their stock up, and then that brings up more excitement towards their brand. It's just like a podcast. The podcasts are trying to build up their own brand. Like I tell you, I bring up both sides. Well, I try to bring up one side and then I bring up the other side. So the pros and the cons to this. This is the con. The pros is that they have this so-called players union out there. But the cons is it is a con because they don't care about players that are not going to be in the NFL but are going to do something else after college.
Right. So
I compare this. I'm sorry, Ruth. I compare this whole wanted to play NCAA football to people who say all lives matter when there's a Black Lives Matter protest. If you gave a damn, we wouldn't be in this situation in the first place. If you gave a damn, you would wear a mask. If you gave a damn, you would have made provisions so that way there would have been things around the face mask and helmets. You would have had mandatory testing. You would have had training camps pushed and delayed. You would have had a way so that way you could have had bubbles, if you will. So multiple NCAA teams could have stayed in one particular state and played in multiple fields in the same state. This is just rushed, plain and simple. It's going to be messy, and Lord help us if it's only going to take one player to get sick and drop dead. And then there's going to be a whole bunch of egg on the face.
Well, let's hope that doesn't happen and it doesn't go down that way. I mean, UCLA had 8 players alone test positive. Rutgers had over 29 cases, 15 cases for Louisville. And it's not just football, it's also soccer. We have 5.2 cases now, coronavirus in the United States. 162,000 people have passed on. I mean, this is a pandemic, and they're just kind of treating it as, okay, we got about 10 seconds left of work here, and you're kind of like it's kind of like them being waiters and waitresses that are across the door. The store is about to close at 10 o'clock, and at 9:59, 50 seconds, they're saying, all right, we're going to close up, and then somebody shows up. That's what they were waiting for, and they didn't get it.
Yeah.
Tell them to take some damn carry out. You ain't sitting in the restaurant. Take that carry out. You better watch some DirecTV.
No, but I agree with you, gentlemen. If they are not having classes on campus, then maybe fall sports should just be taking a back seat. Moving on, we're going to jump into MLB and their situation, because I know a lot of other leagues are watching the MLB and they're seeing how things are transpiring, and that's how they're making game plans when it comes to their COVID procedures. So last night, we had the Houston Astros just seems to be in the middle of a lot of drama. So we had Oakland and Houston facing off, and in the end, I believe it was the final inning of their third game. Their struck up a fight. And 6 feet was not social distancing, definitely was not practice. They had Ramon Loreno, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He got hit by a pitcher by the Houston Astros that sparked up a whole bunch of controversy and fight. And next thing you know, they have a pile up in the Astros dugout. So they had one of the coaches that seemed to be antagonizing Ramon a little bit. Gentlemen, I want to get your take on things. How do you think MLB should be handling this? And when it comes to serving suspensions, and should that coach have any, as there should be any repercussions for how he antagonized the situation?
Well, first off, Alex Cintron should get actually a very lengthy suspension on this. First off, you're not a baseball player to this. You're a hitting coach. You're supposed to be that mentor. You're supposed to be that person that they look up to. And instead, you're acting pretty much like a guy in junior high baseball at this point that believes he wants to pick a fight with a baseball player. This is a huge embarrassment for a team that was the best team in hitting last year for the Houston Astros. This year, Alex Cintron has turned this hitting squad into 15th. So he has a lot more issues with this. A 234 batting average. Their on-base percentage is down as well. Jose Altuve is not the same. George Springer's not the same. And you're deciding, oh, the hell with it. Let's just take 3 beanballs right to the Athletics because we're losing 7-2. And that just makes the Astros look worse and worse. I mean, it's about as bad as their Twitter feed.
Alex, I got to take it to you. What was your reaction to the showdown that went last night? And how do you think the league should be handling suspensions?
I know that if Mr. Kelly got an 8-game suspension, which is basically 22 in a 60-game season, yet you got some pitching coach who's acting like a thug. Yeah, I said it, thug, and trying to start fights when you know damn well your squad was the squad that was cheating, banging on garbage cans, and having little pagers so you know what pitches were coming. And you don't respect retaliation? Bruh, let me put it like this. If you're the bully in school and you stole my paper and got the A and then tried to antagonize me, I'm coming for your throat. Houston has a target on their back. Whether they choose to accept this or not, Houston has a target on their back. So if you get hit by a pitch, if somebody's talking crap in the dugout or on the field, if somebody says nice swing, yeah, or if you try to challenge someone and they come and test your grill, don't be shocked because you've earned every bit of this. MLB and Manfred can't and won't save you.
And Alex, look at the other side with this. Major League Baseball sided with the Houston Astros. How many times have we seen the Astros be beaten this year aside from Joe Kelly? The answer is 0. Athletics did not take a chance on beating one of these Houston Astros, and they decided to take that matter and use it on the Athletics for the heck of it. Such great sportsmanship happening with Houston. And the one that I feel bad the most for, the one that we're not talking about, is Dusty Baker is stuck in this mess for another couple of years because he just signed a multi-year extension. I don't think he signed on for this, where you have your hitting coach acting like a jerk, where you are at the point right now where you're probably going to lose this hitting coach that has done nothing for you except watch your stats go down with some of your best players. And not to mention, Justin Verlander is still out for the next couple of weeks and is not going to be reevaluated. So this is a continued disaster for the Houston Astros. Let's just flat out say it. It's a disaster, and it's going to get worse.
Right. Do you feel like the Astros – Alex, let me ask something real quick. Do you feel like the Astros are protected by the league?
Yes.
Goodness
sakes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why is that? Why do you think that
Baby
is?
Jenkins. Bro, that little Johnson & Johnson baby powder protected. Look, how are you going to tell grown-ass men not to retaliate against a team that coincided and colluded with each other to cheat?
Yeah.
I mean, let's just use common sense here. Do you get away with that in the NFL, even if your name is the Patriots? No. They take away a draft pick, or they suspend Brady for 4 games, or some garbage, but something happens. Hell, Bountygate, Sean Payton was suspended for the year. The Bountygate that they had against Brett Favre when he was in Minnesota, there were a lot of fines and penalties. Yet somehow, some way, Houston is little sweet baby Jesus who's protected from all of this nonsense in the MLB. I'm telling you right now, If I'm an MLB player and I'm not on the Houston Astros and one of them tested my gangster, there's going to be a hell of a lot more pile-ups and there should be more beanballs. Because if you're going to give me 8 games and a 60-game schedule anyway, I'm going to make it worth my while.
But you know something, Alex, to go on that other side, though, what I really like is the class act by the Oakland Athletics. They're not going to retaliate. They're not going to go after them. Lariano apologized today as well. So, I mean, they're taking the high road on this one while the Houston Astros continue to take the low road. I'm just waiting for that fork in the road, and they decide to take the dead end.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, if you guys could just hold on for a moment, we are going to go to commercial. Stay with us, guys.
We're dedicating this season to social justice.
We're challenging you, the fans, to join us.
Sky Takes Action means equality.
Providing opportunities.
Making an immediate impact
Means justice.
Sky Takes Action means bringing the community together.
Serving others.
It means family.
Sky Takes Action means doing your part.
Is encouraging others to do more. Period.
Sky Takes Action means using our platform to create change.
Real change.
We've partnered with Athletes for Justice to raise money for Chicago-based charities that are fighting for equality for all.
For all.
Such a beautiful thing that the WNBA continues to use their platform to fight for full social justice. This is an ongoing battle that will continue. I'm going to go ahead and bring on my gentleman back, Jake Rongholt from Turning Point Podcast, telling both sides of the story. And we also have Alex Fleming from Turf Talk on Saturday mornings. Gentlemen, let me get your take on what is going on in the WNBA. Jake, please tell me what you saw this weekend.
Well, unfortunately, I didn't really see much of the WNBA. I was too focused on the NBA and the NHL. But why don't you tell us, Ruth? Actually,
we had a lot of ups and downs. The Chicago Sky came out with the Seattle on top. Alex, let me get your take on what you think the WNBA is doing with their season.
Chicago Sky got hosed. I saw one game where a lot of calls went against them. And, it was so bad. I think if I was a Coach Wade, I would have took them off the court and said, until you can manage the game properly, we don't need to play. There's been a little bit of hosing. There's been a lot, and I mean a lot of posing from the Atlanta Dream, from the coach to the players to the owner. Atlanta Dream's got issues because you know what? You got an owner who's a little bit sensitive, if you will, who profited off of the backs and health of people before COVID-19 started, and their team's just not that good. I'm just putting that nicely. Seattle's all right. Number 23 is actually pretty good. What's her name again? Yeah, that's what I'm watching with Iguodala, Miss Power, if you will. I'm watching the WNBA and marksman. I saw LA just buzz through Minnesota. I mean, these ladies are some snipers. But other than that, I've been too busy keeping up with the NFL and definitely that NBA bubble.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and turn it to the NBA. I want to know what your gentleman's take on what you saw this weekend.
Me or Jake first?
Jake,
well, I got a question for you. When did the Dallas Mavericks become bipolar? Because I have no idea what team is going to step up in those Maverick jerseys night by night, because at times it feels like this is a team that could contend with the likes of the Clippers and the Lakers, and then there are times where it feels like they might get booted out in 4 games or less at this point, because there has been a couple of moments they get this big win over the Bucks, they get this big win over the Kings, but they can't beat the likes of the Rockets. I mean, that's the problem there. That performance was done in by only one man, and that was Luka Doncic. I mean, the reason why they beat the Milwaukee Bucks a couple nights ago was because of Doncic. I mean, he had his 19th triple-double. And then let's talk about the team that no one is talking about, the Phoenix Suns. I am all in on the Phoenix Suns right now.
5-0.
6 in a row. Are you kidding me?
6-0.
Devin Booker.
6-0.
6 in a row. Kelly Oubre. And we're talking about DeAndre Ayton and some really good coaching by Monty Williams. And right now, if you're the New Orleans Pelicans and you're seeing Monty Williams doing what he's doing with the Phoenix Suns right now, you are kicking yourself in the tail because you let this man leave.
Yeah. Speaking about the Phoenix Suns, they had Draymond Green be fined by the NBA $50,000 by making a comment on live television about Devin Booker needing to leave the Suns organization. Alex, I want to know your take on it. Was a $50,000 fine by giving his opinion something that should have happened?
I actually believe it should have been 100,000. It was only 50,000 because he's a player and Golden State wasn't invited to the bubble. Let's get something absolutely perfectly crystal clear here. If Magic Johnson can get fined for tampering for just mentioning that he wants to get Anthony Davis, who the hell does Draymond Green think he is trying to recruit Devin Booker, who's still under contract with the Phoenix Suns, to get him out of in the terms of Agent Orange, SHIT whole team? If you haven't been paying attention, the Phoenix Suns are the only undefeated team in the bubble. And if you weren't paying attention today, they took care of the Oklahoma City Thunder 128-121. Devin Booker had 35 points. Dario Saric had 16. Johnson had 18. Bridges had 18. Cameron Payne had 14. DeAndre Ayton, who had to sit the first quarter because he missed the COVID testing, only had 10 points. Here's my point. They had 6 players in double figures. They were down big at the end of the first quarter, took a 2-point lead at the half, and then beat them by 27. What in the hell has gotten into the Phoenix Suns? Oh, and here's the icing on top of the cake. Due to the fact that Memphis continues to lose, there will be a play-in game. But now there's a cherry on top of that icing. San Antonio, Portland, and Phoenix are all in that spot for that last play-in game. So these last 2 games are going to be huge. All Phoenix needs to do is keep doing what they're doing. Portland, Dollar Dame, which we're going to get to, is hot right now. San Antonio has it rough because they have to win the last 2. Either other way, I'm not liking Memphis' chances.
I haven't liked Memphis since they lost 5 in a row, and I'm not going to buy into the Grizzlies. They had a terrible schedule. They got the raw deal right out the gate. If you want to look at a team, go to the other side right now, and that is the Denver Nuggets right now, because what the Denver Nuggets are doing, they are threatening right now that number 2 seed. Keep in mind, they're only 1 game back of the LA Clippers in that number 2 seed, and we still got a couple more games left to go here. And if you watch the way that they were able to take down the Utah Jazz in double overtime on Saturday, it shows that this Denver Nuggets team does not care if anybody is on their side right now. They want this chance. They want to get this opportunity to get to the NBA Finals, because all they're hearing right now, the NBA media is going all out on the Denver Nuggets for next year, but they're saying right now, we want it this year. We want to be able to go after LeBron. We want to be able to fight against the LA Clippers and get that chance at the finals. This is exactly what we need in the NBA. This kind of parity has been huge. Not to mention, Alex, you go back to the 8th seed. We have the Suns, the Spurs, and the Blazers all battling it out. We might come to a point when the Grizzlies are kicked out of that 8th seed and they stop barely getting away with a win. We might have Suns Trailblazers or Spurs Trailblazers or Spurs and Suns to compete for that number 8 seed. How could you not love that? Because then it goes back a couple years ago. Remember when the Grizzlies went in and beat the number 1 seed San Antonio Spurs? You remember that? We could have another chance at that. And it could threaten LeBron because his offense is non-existent right now. They're actually the worst scoring offense in the NBA, and they're losing to TJ Warren. What is going on?
TJ Warren is one of the best players in the bubble right now, Jake.
Go out.
Now you crossed the line, Jake. Up until today,
all right, let's go. Come on.
Up until today, whenever Miami beat the brakes off of the Pacers, TJ Warren was averaging an easy 36, 37 points a game. He was on fire. I remember when the Pacers beat the Lakers 116-111, and they did it easy. And you can't say LeBron didn't play, because LeBron didn't play against Houston. LeBron played against
LeBron played, but AD was sitting out during that game.
But with that being said, the Nuggets are down by 5 by the Lakers right now. If I was the owner of the Denver Nuggets, I would call them the Denver Nugs and change their colors to purple and green, and everybody would know what the hell.
What's the score of the Denver Nuggets game in Lakers right now? You watching it, Alex?
64-59. Lakers are up 64, Denver 59. I want to talk about some people on that Denver squad. Michael Porter Jr. He is the truth. A couple of games he scored 30-plus points. Had one game where he had 30 points, 15 rebounds. Welcome back, Mr. Murray. That man is quick. He gives them a different dimension. Manute Bol's son, Bobo, is quite lengthy, and the Joker is the best center I have seen in a very long time. He's like a Larry Bird with less weight and more height. They got a nasty squad, and Jake was absolutely right. Clippers have the tiebreaker against the Nuggets, but when it comes to record, the Clippers don't want to be that 3 seed. There is no home field advantage. I get that, but you got to think about that first round matchup. The Clippers match up well against the Dallas Mavericks. That's why you want to stick to that number 2 spot. You don't want to fall to that 3 spot, because even though Utah's getting slapped around like Susan off a Blink Man, they've been losing a lot. It's going to be a rough series. Speaking of Utah, they've gone 2-4. It's like they've just completely given up. They're the fall guy in the WWE. Washington, Utah, the Pelicans, Sacramento should all be ashamed of themselves. I didn't add Orlando because they're missing 1, 2, 3, 4 people, and that's sad too. But at least they're fighting.
Speaking about missing people, we have the 76ers going to match up the Phoenix Suns tomorrow, and the 76ers have been running into back-to-back injuries with their star players. So we have Ben Simmons that's going to be out for the remainder of the season because he's getting surgery on his knee. And then we have Joel Embiid roll his ankle, I believe. Who were they playing? Can't remember now. He rolled his ankle during – okay, so he rolled his ankle and he's going to be out for who knows how many games. Do the 76ers even have a chance if now that Ben Simmons gone indefinitely, if Joel is going to be sitting out for a few games, what chances do they have?
I got this one, Jake. They didn't have a chance to begin with. They didn't have a damn chance. Look, Philadelphia is making the playoffs because they got a better record than the Nets and the 76ers. Blank, blank, period, end of that discussion. The 76ers are recycled trash. They're at least useful. They have no real guard play. Their bench isn't better than you, me, and Jake. They've had problems, Shake Melton and Joel Embiid on the sidelines. Brett Brown's getting fired. I'm actually looking forward to Brett Brown getting fired because he's a little bit arrogant. And with all the talent they had around him and with 4 players with $100 million contracts, and this is the best you can do, I compare the Philadelphia 76ers to a Britney Spears CD. I want my money back.
Jake,
we're going to compare to a CD. I'm going to compare it to the one and only movie Britney Spears did, and that was Crossroads, which is probably one of the worst movies that you'll ever see. And that's how it feels right now at the Philadelphia 76ers. Go to the other side. It was style over substance. Everybody was falling in love with this team. Shake Milton, you had Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid, and Ben Simmons. But we keep forgetting that even you could put Ben Simmons as center if you wanted to. That guy is never going to hit a 3-point shot. His play is just too limited. It's just such a disaster right now for the Sixers. I mean, I couldn't understand why the NBA media was so high on this team. And I kept sitting back going, name one game where Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons were able to play with synergy. Seriously, no, give it to me. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for a playoff.
No, I know you have a point because
wait. They played with synergy against the Indiana Pacers, and they played with synergy against the Cleveland Cavaliers. They looked amazing.
Oh, well, I'll see you later. All right, that was good enough for me. Give me a break. I'm so sick and tired of hearing about the Sixers. Like I hear about them every single day, and I just sit there wondering to myself, why are they still talking about this team? My goodness, it's like the remake of Beverly Hills 90210, Melrose Place, and Living Single, all coming together with this team.
Jake, is it safe to say that the 76ers? Jake, is it safe to say that the 76ers are the biggest upset coming out the East?
Biggest upset? They were destined to fail.
They're not the biggest upset, though. They're not the biggest upset. Let's be completely honest. Now, you said coming out of the East. Now, Orlando started in the bubble 2-0. And then Isaac went down, and we know the politics behind that. We spoke about that.
Yeah.
Since Isaac went down, not only have they not won a game, but their bench players have outperformed and looked better than their star players. Aaron Gordon goes down against Toronto because Kyle Lowry brushed him while he was in the air. Okay, fine. Evan Fournier, I don't know. I'm not going to say I don't care, but I mean, that's neither here nor there. All right, let's just keep it real. And Terrence Ross left today for non-health reasons. So now you have no Isaac, no MCW for a game or two, no Aaron Gordon, no Evan Fournier, and no Terrence Ross. Over under, they score 60 points next game.
Can I say the real upset, the true upset, is the Utah Jazz. I did not expect the Utah Jazz to come in here like this. I did not. I did not expect the Dallas Mavericks to find another bipolar personality and find a way to beat them by 8 today, 122-114. I don't know.
Luka or KP.
Alex, think about this, though. This team is one game away from taking the 6th seed away from the Utah Jazz. The Dallas Mavericks, who are pretty much leaning on Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis right now. You look at Dennis Smith, you look at Seth Finney. They are not helping at all. It's all Doncic and Porzingis at this time. Even when Porzingis has a bad game, we have to find a way for Doncic to get another triple-double and try and help out the best way he can. And even if Trey Burke has a good game, they still don't have somebody that can return the favor and hit a three-point shot. They were having problems with that against the Bucks. And if it wasn't for Doncic hitting those 35-footers on Sunday, this would be a whole different story.
I disagree. He's got a little bit of help on the guard play between Finney Smith. He had 27 against Milwaukee. And don't forget about Maxi Kleber. Coming off of the bench, he had 15. Those were key points against Milwaukee Bucks. That was a great game Saturday, by the way. But I have to agree. Out of the West, take away the garbage out of the West. Utah has just been straight suspect chin music. You hit 22 threes against the Denver Nuggets and lose in double overtime. All right? Donovan Mitchell, the Spider, decided not to play because he was injured and you lost. Came back, played great. That's against the Nuggets, and you lost. And now today, you lost against the Dallas Mavericks without Luka.
Have Doncic or
Porzingis.
Yeah.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Look at these numbers. This is crazy to me. Seth Curry, 22 points. Tim Hardaway Jr. was 3 for 6 from the three-point line. Seth Curry, 4 for 6, 7 for 12 alone combined, and 49 points between Stephen Curry's brother and Tim Hardaway Jr., the son of the great Tim Hardaway from the Heat. Are you kidding me with this? Doncic didn't play. Porzingis didn't play. How about Trey Burke got 14 points. Look at the Jazz. Mike Conley was playing today. Rudy Gobert was playing today. Donovan Mitchell was not in. But still, they could not beat a team that had their two best players available. That is the biggest upset right now. And right now, if you're Quinn Snyder, I would be watching my back right now because I want to see if somebody's lighting a match underneath my foot and waiting to light it.
Is there a pond somewhere in Disney? Because I think they're going fishing. I think they're thinking about going fishing.
I do want to bring up the dispute between T.J. Warren and Jimmy Butler. Now, Jimmy Butler has gone on the record and said that T.J. Warren cannot even defend him. They've had a couple little tiny fights during the game. Do you think Jimmy Butler has any right by saying that T.J. Warren cannot come close to his game?
Jimmy Butler destroys this man every time they face each other. The time before last, whenever TJ Warren grabbed Jimmy Butler and you saw Jimmy rear back and try to hit him, he got straight in his face. Jimmy Butler is all about intimidation, ego, and respect. And TJ Warren at that time was just another regular basketball player. I'm not going to say TJ Warren was a scrub, but he wasn't on Jimmy's level. But here's the problem. Jimmy is a tier 2 when it comes to a star in the NBA. He's not a LeBron. He's not a Kawhi. He's not even a Chris Paul, but he demands respect. Who the hell is this TJ Warren guy before he got to the bubble? An almost nobody. Now, all of a sudden, he makes it into the bubble, and he's hitting shots left and right?
51 points in his first game.
Wrong. Tonight, TJ Warren was 5 for 14, was 2 from 6 from the three-point line, and had a total of 12 points. His squad, 3 of the starters were in double figures, and nobody from the bench was in double figures. Let's look at the Miami Heat, shall we? Because Jimmy Buckets actually played. Bam Adebayo, 10 points, 9 rebounds. Jimmy Butler, 19 points, 11 rebounds. I think he had a point to prove. Jay Crowder, 14 points, 8 rebounds. Gordon Dragic, 11.6 rebounds. Duncan Robinson, the three-point man, 14 points, 4 for 10 from the three-point line, 5 rebounds. Damon Jones Jr., 18 points, 5 rebounds. Tyler Herro, the hero, 17 points, 5 rebounds. You got 7 players in double figures. And you know what they all have in common? They're all crashing them damn boards. And that's how you beat a team by 22. You slap them around, you let them know you are not on my level. And when we meet, if we meet, in the beginning of the playoffs, because right now Miami's number 4 and Pacers is number 5, your ass is going home.
The Miami Heat are still the team to watch out for. I don't care how many wins, how many losses this team has. They are in every single game, and they never make it easy. I mean, give a lot of credit to Eric Spoelstra. He really had this team playing today. Jimmy Butler was back again, got 19 points. But look at the biggest stat that everybody forgot about. They held the Pacers to 28% from the three-point line. That's a big problem for them. And then you lose by 22 points. That is a signature win for them. Your bench comes out, really does a great job, has over 40 points off the bench. That's what you need, and the Pacers didn't have an answer for it. That's a great win for the Miami Heat. And I continuously say, be careful for this team, because I don't care if you're the Toronto Raptors. I don't care if you're the Milwaukee Bucks. They are going to take you down to the final minute.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. We are going to go to a short break before we come back and wrap things up. That was beautiful. That got me pumped. I'm definitely going to the gym tomorrow for sure. All right, gentlemen, it is the last couple minutes of our podcast for tonight. I have Jake Ronghall from Turning Point Podcast and Alex Fleming from Turf Talk. I just wanted to give Jamal Merritt a happy birthday that he turned 21 today. Now I have to ask you, gentlemen, him being 21 years old in the league being full of young players, how do you think he compares to other 21-year-olds in the league? Somebody like Luka Doncic.
Luka was Rookie of the Year last year. Luka just turned 21. Luka is the face of the NBA. I remember interviewing Luka after they got down beating up on the Orlando Magic, and I straight up asked him, how does it feel to be the face of the NBA? And this man is so damn humble. He's like, it's not me, it's my team. So in 2020, 2021, look for Luka Doncic to be the face of the NBA because he controls his own destiny. He can go one-on-one with LeBron James. He can carry a team on his back. He's only got KP and Finney Smith with him. Imagine if he had more firepower. Dallas is going to become a destination for free agents to come and help out Luka. Imagine Bradley Beal on the squad with the Dallas Mavericks. So now you can't be double teaming Luka and you got to play him straight up. And we're talking about guns blazing. Dallas Mavericks have an averaging almost 40% from the three-point line. And whenever you do crowd the three, that's when Maxi Kleber and all them boys down low start getting those pickpockets and those dunks. Dallas isn't going to make noise in the bubble. Look for them to make a hell of a lot of noise next year.
Jake, I want to get your take.
Well, Luka Doncic may be the face of the NBA, but I can't wait to see what these young 20-somethings can do. Zion Williamson, DeAndre Ayton, I mean, the list goes on and on. I can't wait to see what
John Morant.
Tatum.
John Morant.
Tatum, John Morant. I mean, if you're the NBA right now, you're Adam Silver. You're sitting back realizing you have 0 corona cases. You've only had one big punishment, and that was Lou Williams. You're sitting back, you're smoking a cigar, and you're realizing the future of the NBA will be safe and sound when you have all these players. Even though Doncic will be the face of it, keep in mind on the ones who are not getting the headlines, because they are the ones that are rising to the occasion. I mean, DeAndre Ayton, look what the numbers he's been doing in this 6-game winning streak. How could you not be excited about the Phoenix Suns and their future right now, or the Dallas Mavericks? Alex, I'm really glad you brought that up, because I've been calling them bipolar, but you're right. They are still young, and I didn't realize that. I understand that. I mean, yeah, you got Tim Hardaway Jr. coming off a good game, but yeah, they're a young team. And if there's one guy that will pick up Bradley Beal's gigantuan contract, that would be Mark Cuban. I mean, can you imagine that? Beal and Doncic. And I know we're going first take now here, but seriously, that would be a nice fantasy. I won't lie to you.
Absolutely.
Look, someone saved Bradley Beal from the garbage known as Washington. Washington has been a catastrophe, literally and figuratively. John Wall and Bradley Beal has not been working. For some reason, the politics just don't match the effort. There's too much money past the salary cap. The surplus has been over. It's a deficit over there of bad shots, bad decisions, and bad contracts. I mean, you're literally comparing apples to oranges when you call out someone saying you should probably stand for the national anthem, but yet you won't attend any of the games and you haven't done anything to fix the problems. You're just trying to get reelected. So I really do see Washington as a bad apple. And when you're trying to say something bad about the NBA that's been hotter more now than ever, you're trying to compare apples to oranges.
Well, let's leave the NBA and just wrap it up with, I was very surprised that the Clippers have lost last night, but they did not have Kawhi playing, I believe, and
no, Kawhi played. Kawhi had like 30.
It was PG-13 yeah. Paul George did not play yesterday, but Kawhi did, but they still lost, which was a huge upset. Oh, man. Let's move on to the MLS because, man, they are wrapping up their season, and it's come pretty quick in the bubble, and they've had a lot of success, especially the Orlando City Lions. Now, how do you gentlemen take how a team could come from the bottom of the league into the finals? Jake, I want to hear your point.
Well, I mean, first off, this is like a sports movie in the making. If they can win the whole thing, because you're talking about a team that fired their general manager Mickey Badalic last year alone, brought in a new manager, James O'Connor. This was a team that finished 11th last year, and now they're coming off a big win back on August 6th on a 3-1 victory over the Minnesota United FC, who is actually a very formidable team, and they are just surprising everybody. This is such a great story to see because, I mean, with all of the turnover they've had, not to mention they fired Badalic, but that a year before that, they also fired their coach. So now they have this manager with James O'Connor in there. They still got some very good talent that believes in what they're running, and it feels different. And this is a great thing because keep in mind, the city of Orlando has not been able to have anything to hang their hat on, with the Magic struggling, not staying healthy. And then you got Orlando Pride. They weren't even in the NWSL Cup. They stepped out, so we didn't get a chance to see Alex Morgan. Now you got this team out of nowhere that is going to unify this city in the sports world that Orlando desperately needs. This is great for Orlando City.
Right. With the new head coach being added in at the beginning of this season, they've made a complete 360. Alex, give me your take on what you feel with the Orlando City Lions making it into the finals to face Portland tomorrow night at 8:30 on ESPN.
Started from the bottom, now we here. Nobody had faith in Orlando. Hell, I didn't have faith in Orlando. This team has been bad for a very long time. But this just goes to show that coaching lives matter, because when you change the coach and you change the system and there's no caca involved, take that how you want to, you actually start winning and you start pulling things out of your butt like a magician. Now, a couple of games They got lucky. But sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. I wish them nothing but luck because I thought they were done when they played LAFC. I was wrong.
And
I thought they were done when they played Minnesota. I was wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm going to quit betting against them, and I'm going to wish them luck against Portland.
You're talking about a team, too, against Minnesota United that was outshot 17-7, and they still were able to win 3-1. This is crazy. It is
I think the goalie has been making a huge impact with these saves. So I am very, very pleased with what's going on in Orlando because we deserve it. We deserve a championship. And good luck to the team tomorrow as they face Portland again on ESPN at 8:30. So make sure you guys are tuning in. All right,
Orlando
gentlemen, any last thoughts before I wrap things up? We're good? All right. So we have Jake Rosenwald from Turning Point Podcast, and then we have Alex Fleming from Turf Talk and Ruth the Truth. Make sure you guys have a great night. Thanks for tuning in.
All Hollywood Edwards, rest in peace.